In this video, I'm going to show you how to change SRAM direct mount chainrings. We're going to need a few tools to do this. First, a T25 Torx, a couple of Allen keys, a chain tool possibly to shorten the chain, a bit of grease, and a mallet to tap the cranks out. If you have a SRAM rear mech, pop it into its service position to loosen the chain. Also, if you're running a chain guide, this is the time to remove it. Lift the chain from the chainring and over the crank and place it out of the way. I'm running a SRAM X1 GXP chainset on my bike, where the removal process is similar for all SRAM cranks. Nearly all the SRAM cranks have self-extracting chain bolts, making removal easy. Simply insert an 8mm Allen key into the non-drive side crank and turn anti-clockwise. This will pull the crank away from the bottom bracket spindle. A soft rubber mallet is handy to tap the BB axle to remove it from the frame. If you don't have one, you can carefully pull the crankset through the frame from the drive side. Caution, be careful not to lose any bottom bracket seals or wavy washers at this stage. Before we change the chainring, we have a good opportunity to clean and degrease areas of the chainset that are not normally accessible when the chainset is installed on the bike. To do this, I'm using some muck-off degreaser and a microfiber cloth. The chainring is fastened to the crank arm using 3 T25 Torx bolts. You need to unscrew these to release the chainring. With the bolts removed, you can now remove the chainring from the crank arm. I'm going to be replacing the 32 tooth chainring that came with my bike for a 28 tooth chainring. There's only one orientation of the chainring on the crank arm that gives you access to all 3 bolts, so it's hard to get wrong. It is advisable to use a little low strength Loctite on the bolts holding the chainring in place. One at a time, screw in all 3 T25 Torx bolts until finger tight. With all 3 Torx screws finger tight, it's time to torque them down to 8 to 9 Newton meters. With the chain set removed, it's good practice to clean the hard to reach areas of the bike. Spray a little degreaser on a microfiber cloth and clean down the bottom bracket area, popping the seals off to clean any dirt and grease out of this area. Pro tip: apply a light smear of grease to the back of the seal to stick it in position. apply a pea-sized smear of grease to the crank spindle where it runs on the bearings. This helps prevent corrosion and aids disassembly in the future. Not forgetting to slip the wavy washer over the crank spindle, insert the crank spindle through the bottom bracket bearings. At this point, with the crank arm firmly butted up against the bottom bracket bearings, ensure you have adequate clearance between the chain ring and the chain stays. Next, refit the non-drive side seal over the spindle up against the bottom bracket bearings. Place the non-drive side crank arm onto the spindle and tighten using an 8mm Allen key. For these X1 cranks, the cranks need to be torqued down to between 48 and 52 Nm, but this may vary between different crank designs. Please check your crank's instructions from the SRAM website to find out the specific torque required. Place the chain onto the chainring, ensuring that it is synchronized with the narrow wide teeth. Release the rear mech from its service mode and cycle through the gears biggest to smallest. This is to check that the chain is not too long or too short. As you can see, my chain was too long. On the 10-tooth sprocket on the rear cassette, the rear derailleur cannot handle the excess chain. I had to remove 4 links from the chain as I removed 4 teeth, changing from a 32 tooth to a 28 tooth chainring. And that's it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you could do me a favour by liking and subscribing for more cycling content in the future, that would be great.